Well, hello everybody. How's it going this evening? It is 5:46-ish p.m. here in Ellensburg, Washington, and we will begin our program at the top of the hour at 6 o'clock local time. A mere 14 minutes from now. Thank you for joining us. How's everybody doing tonight? Hello, nobody. Hello, Patrick, age 6. Good to see you. Let's say hi to a bunch of folks, whether you're new to us or old veterans of the scene, and then we can do a little checking of things. Jeff from Vinman's Bakery is here, and we got a glare. Ritzville, Washington, Australia, Craters of the Moon. Maryland, hello, good evening. Going kind of quickly here for me, sorry if I missed you. Marion, Virginia, Lake Oswego, Oregon, another Australia, hello Jared. Yelly is in Japan. Jenny's in Lake Crabapple, Washington, did I see that correctly? Alabama, Central California, Maryland, cold in Arizona, Portage, Indiana, Snohomish, Washington, greetings from Mount Tabor, says John, a neighborhood of Portland, I assume. Andrew's in Bellingham, Scott in Fort Worth, Texas, etc. Dayton, Ohio, wonderful to see you all. Absolutely terrific to see you all. It took me like, I don't know, 25 minutes to remember how to do this live thing. It's been so long. So, you know, I definitely want to make sure that we are functional here. So I have a microphone. I think I'm done with Boxy McBox, which was our way to get rid of wind noise. It's quite calm here this evening, but are we 5x5 with the audio? I'm mostly interested in the audio here. Again, I'm coming in here, and I want to do a little test with you, actually. I'm seeing a lot of 5x5s, and that's wonderful. England, hello. Middle of the night for you. The audio's fine? Good. Actually, let me do my test before I forget about it. So my test is this is a wireless microphone, and I've been using this setup with the field videos, but I haven't used it live before. So I'm curious, this is a wireless between my belt here and this thing that's plugged into the phone that has a solid blue light telling me that there's a good connection right now between the transmitter on my belt and the receiver on the phone. Ireland, nice. So I want to, can you still hear me the same? Can you still hear me the same? Oh, I didn't plan this out. Now I can't even see what your answers are going to be. Is the audio still the same? How's the audio now? I'm sitting in a chair in the shade next to the 3 frogs, and I'm actually talking now in a quite low-key tone. Can you hear the low-key tone? The smooth, sultry sounds of Ned Zinger from his backyard. Can you hear this? I'm just curious. I don't know I don't think I'm going to be teaching from back here. And I got one more test. I'll have to watch the replay to see what your answers are, by the way. I got one more test. You ready? Razzle dazzle. How's the audio? I'm not facing you now. I don't have the blue light going directly to you. Is there still a communication between that and that? So I'm talking now, 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 I'm talking now. I'm talking. Mommy, why is that man? Why is that man doing that in his backyard? Dear, it's his backyard. He can do what he wants to in his own backyard, I think. I'll have to check city code on that. I mean, if I can connect audio-wise right around the corner here in the grill, I'll get some thick steaks on the grill. All right, well, I'll be interested to see what you all had to say about that. Not going to use it. We are going to use the chalkboard a little bit. Oh, that's Larry Ladder that's in the way. Yeah, I don't think we care. And actually, I'm going to do this for the most part, and then when we use the board, we'll use the board. But it looks like we're going to use the board a ton. We're only going to use it a little bit. So, a few more hellos to people. How we doing? Oh, you want Bijou? Bijou! Let me see if he's lying in his spot. Bijou. I don't know, maybe they can hear you over here, Bijou. Are you over here? He's out here somewhere. I don't know where he is. Can I trouble you one more time? Are we okay 5x5? No buffering yet. That's a terrible word, and based on our Wednesday evenings the last couple of weeks, I'm nervous about that, especially. What is it, like 8 minutes after the hour? It seems like the buffering starts. So I'm really hoping we don't have that, but I don't know what I can do if we do. No buffering, 5x5, 5x5, all good, 5x5. Okay, a couple thank yous, believe it or not. Somebody sent me a link on this amazing chalk from Japan, which is very difficult to find apparently. And apparently once you use this special Japanese chalk, you never go back. So I think this needs to be a special occasion. I don't think tonight is the night. But I will be using this special Japanese chalk. Yeah. Eleanor in Texas sent this. It arrived today. Hi Nick, this is not real art, but I had fun with it. Be well, Eleanor from Texas. So Eleanor knows that we're going to be doing exotic terranes this entire fall. Tracking the Tyrannosaurus. Thank you, Eleanor. I'm a joy giver, remember? Well, I can't swear under my breath now, right? When I'm away, I can't say a bunch of stuff to myself, like mutter, like because I got this frickin', maybe I should get off this wireless mic. Gentleman in South Carolina who sent me a bunch of gifts from Augusta, Georgia. Thank you. I love this. This is like a thick plastic insulated whatever. Thanks much. I can't remember your name. I'm sorry. But I remember these names. This is the local Ellensburg newspaper, and I might be wrong, but I think this is Ron, who's been with us most of our sessions. Ronald from Ronald, Washington. So Ronald, are you with us? And is this you volunteering crazy amounts of time at the Cle Elum School District? Grandpa Ron, as all the kids call you, with all your dedication to everybody there. So enjoyed reading about this Ron Jacobson, and I assume it's the Ron Jacobson that's with us. So Ronald, thank you for all this wonderful time. Makes me think of my mother, who spends all her time with school kids. This arrived yesterday from Australia. I mean, come on, this has been happening all summer. We haven't done live streams for 2 months, and I'm still getting stuff in the mail almost every day. So this is from the Australian Research and Space Exploration, otherwise known as ARS. This episode of Nick from Home brought to you by ARS. You gotta love it. You gotta love ARS. I know I do. Kathy, thank you. And what live stream would be complete without Jeff from Vinman's Bakery dropping by the house? Old Gene the dancing machine from Puyallup said, hey, take some of those Danishes from this morning. Would you please take them over to Nick's? I'll pay. So these pastries from Vinman's Bakery. This episode of Nick from Home brought to you by Vinman's Bakery. Lots of love in a box. Gonna say something else there, decided not to. Hey, so thank you, Jean. Corey, who's hanging out with us, had her eye on these, and I'm like, nope, I gotta, so I'll walk them in now. She'll devour them now, even though it's supper time. I gotta spend 2 minutes to get my head right anyway, so thanks for joining us. I'm not seeing trouble here. You know what, just because I'm extra nervous about the audio stuff. We're still okay. Reni's got 2 seconds of buffering, but I need one more time. UK, hello, 5 by, I want to see a lot of hot microphone. Okay, is that true? I'm a little too loud, I'm a little too pegged out. Backwards. No buffering. You want me to put it out here? Should I come down? You know, I am going to be in my little excited voice, which, better now? I'm used to talking to a large group without any microphones, so I'm going to be kind of like in here, I think. I'm going to be right here with audio. Are we distorted or absolutely too much? It's better? Good. Okay. So give me 2 minutes to get my head together. For all I know, you'll hear me walking into the kitchen to deliver the goods here. That'll be fun if you can. So I'll be on my best behavior, Patrick and Evelyn. Good. Vinman's is available. Vinman's is available. Tell your girlfriend. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Well, a pleasant good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining us here in the backyard. Muffler boy, on cue. Must have been idling in the alley for the last 10 minutes waiting for his moment. My name is Nick Zentner. I teach geology at the college here in town. It's a university. It's called Central Washington University, and our first day was today. We're back face-to-face. Some of us, most of us are teaching online, but I wanted to get back in the classroom. So we have a fall quarter that starts today and runs to Thanksgiving time. And so I'll be doing much of that at school, my usual routine in person, and it feels great to be back with students in the flesh. We're all masked up, of course. But in addition to that, I wanted to do some live streams this fall for a number of reasons. And so tonight, I want to do two things. I want to tell you why we're doing these exotic terrain live streams, and that is the plan. We're doing 26 brand new exotic terrain sessions. And I also want to do the first, which, and our goals are modest this evening. Our goals are to wrap our minds around which window in time is crucial to us. Why not? Let's just do it right now. Our window tonight and our window of observation of time that we'll be confined to from now till Thanksgiving is 200 to 50 million years ago. And I'll give you the backstory on why that's our time frame. But anything older than 200 million years ago, we don't care that much about this fall. And pretty much everything younger than 200 million years ago, everything younger than 50 million years ago, we don't care that much about. Now, now that I say that, there's a few things that will come up. But for the most part, can we do it? That's our little window between 200 and 50 million years ago. 200 million years ago, 50 million years ago, we're staying in that window. And if we stay in that 150 million years of time, we have all sorts of things to talk about. And you're like, oh, great, we're going to do all these things? I mean, let me give you a quick look. Have you taken the time? I mean, you recognize some of these things. I did this morning out here in the backyard. I don't know if you can tell, it's alternating yellow and white. I'm kind of proud of myself. I don't know if you can even tell the difference with the lighting. But this is pretty much just me thinking, what did we do with those 75 live streams in spring? We were all over the place. Every night was different. We did 5 of them a week, and the whole plan in spring with the 75 live streams was just to keep a variety hour going, essentially. Thomas Simons on a boat coming down the Columbia. Oh, we're to Dry Falls. J. Harlan Brett's doing his work. The old Columbia River gravels. Saddle Rock, Tiatanandesite, San Juan Islands, the San Andreas Fault. And you say, I can't see the bottom of the board. It's okay, it's okay. You get the idea, right? You get the idea. So before we quit tonight, I do want to work with this chalkboard and realize that almost all of this stuff is going to be, I don't want to say meaningless to us, but it's not going to be helpful to us. Almost all this ground that we covered in springtime, I hope that you enjoyed those, and by the time we got to June, I was learning stuff in the morning and then delivering it in the evening. You know, it was all fresh to me too. So I hope you don't think it was just a waste of time. But for our work this fall, we got to forget about most of this stuff. It's not going to help us, and in fact, it might hurt us if we keep trying to take stuff that's out of our 200 to 50 million year window. I suppose you'll be real sick of me doing this, 200 to 50. I might even get a little snarky at times, like, don't bring that up. Question and answer, huh? No, don't bring that up. That's too young. That doesn't apply to what we're talking about this fall. Okay? So we are going to do something with these things. I've got a couple props I'm going to use. No cozy fort tonight, sorry. I just want it to be you and me. I don't want a bunch of other distractions. I just want to try to reconnect because it's been a while since we've done this face to face. Ha ha ha. Okay. I'm going to pause for just a second because I'm extra nervous about our technology with buffering issues and audio with a new microphone. So can I, before I just ramp back into this, the snarky window, that's right, Mr. C. Yeah, we got to look out for the snarky window. Are we doing okay? No buffer, 5x5. Love it, thank you, okay. And I've already noticed that our sun is this interesting change of the seasons, you know. So our sun is on me now, but I think a couple weeks from now we won't really have this. So that'll be kind of interesting, realizing that right now. Okay, we will do our live Q&A, and if you're new to us, we stay with a live Q&A at the end. So hold your questions if you can, and if you can't hold it and you want to ask your question right now, I'm not going to see it because I can't talk to you and I can't also read the stuff at the same time. But I have my laptop and we will do some live Q&A like we normally do with these live streams. But we're ready to get into the program. We're going to start with a quick story. You up for a quick story? Okay. 3 years ago, 2017, I turned 55 years old. And the plan with my doctors is, hey, Nick, as soon as you turn 55, we're going to give you the green light to replace those knees. So I'd been begging to get my knees replaced because I really couldn't walk. And there's a bunch of reasons that for my knees to be so bad, but they were bad. And so as soon as I turned 55, the summer of 2017, I said, let's go. Let's replace my right knee. Dr. Rue down in Yakima, shout out, Northwest Orthopedics. Replaced the right knee in August, replaced the left knee in December. And I bring that up because I had a few weeks of pretty much laying in bed, a couple weeks really, and doing my rehab, of course, had Bijou as my little rehab partner. But I used that time to read about exotic terranes. And it had bothered me for most of my career that I had avoided the North Cascades, I had avoided the exotic terranes, I just didn't know much about the exotic terranes, and it was time to learn. And I had a friend in particular, a former geologist, still is a geologist, and he was especially helpful in emailing me papers, and we're going back and forth and reading all this stuff and basically getting up to speed, 2017, on the literature with this exotic terrain business. That was all in preparation for a lecture that I gave in early 2018 called Exotic Terrains of the Pacific Northwest. But it was just an hour lecture, and I thought the lecture was okay, but I thought the filming of it was subpar, so I always kind of cringe when I think of that lecture because I didn't think the audio and video was very good. The content was good, but I had done so much reading and so much learning on the exotic terrains, way more that I could use in that 1 hour lecture, that it kind of was in the back of my mind. Boy, I should really go back to all that stuff that I learned. I used hardly any of it. The other part of the story is, last summer, 2020, no, last summer, 2019, right? Back in 2019 when everything was normal. Well, it wasn't normal in our family. My dad was in his last weeks, and my sisters and I were home back in our childhood home in Wisconsin, taking turns nursing and trying to make Dad as comfortable as possible in the summer of 2019. And in the middle of all that drama, and I know that some of you have dealt with this, I mean, it's all consuming and it's just exhausting and it's an emotional roller coaster, etc. In the middle of all that, I got an email out of the blue. I was sitting in my childhood bedroom. Got this email one morning from Michael Eddy, who's probably 30 years old. And he had just gotten a job at Purdue University. And Mike said last summer, summer of 2019, we've got a brand new North Cascades proposal for a National Science Foundation research project. It's a big one. It's got a big budget. We're going to devote many years in the North Cascades, And we're looking for somebody to be our public outreach person, someone who could basically translate our research to a broad community. And we've seen some of your stuff. I think Mike mainly said, I've seen some of your stuff, and I remember you emailing me a couple of times, and I'm wondering if you'd be interested. And I said, Mike, I'm in the middle of this stuff here in Wisconsin. I'm sorry, I'll get back to you in the fall, but I just can't deal with this right now. And he was super generous, super nice about it, totally understood. And so just last fall, about a year ago, I checked in with Mike and said, well, I've got time now. I'm back in Ellensburg, and are we doing this grant? And he's like, Okay, reconnected. I'm reconnected on this end. Are you back? I'm about to lose the sunlight, it looks like. Are we back? If we have more problems tonight, I think I'm going to junk this Wednesday night. I guess that's part of what I've learned. Back in the USSR, absolutely right. Okay, well I got to continue here, so let's keep our fingers crossed we won't have more problems. Okay? That was like almost to the dot, like 10 minutes after 6. That's the same problem we had the last couple of times, but let's hope. Okay, so let's speed up the story. I kept hearing from Mike Eddy at Purdue University all through the fall, through the winter, even the spring. It's like we still haven't heard about this big proposal, and we're really hoping we can get started. Well, then COVID happens, and so now we're delayed another 3-4 months, like haven't heard. And I did all these live streams with you guys in the spring. Haven't heard. Well, it's July, like 2 months ago, month and a half ago. Mike says, we got it. We're doing the North Cascades project. We want you to be a big part of it. You up for it still? And I'm like, of course, yeah, this is like a great opportunity. You, Mike Eddy and Bob Miller and Stacia Gordon are the 3 lead geologists on the team. There will be many grad students involved over the next few years. Work up in the field work up in the North Cascades. Muffler boy, thank you. Other things as well back in the lab at Mike's Purdue lab that he's building. Super exciting to be involved in that project. Okay. I haven't really told Mike my dirty little secret, but you know my dirty little secret. I hardly know anything about the North Cascades. Yes, I know a lot about Washington geology. I know hardly anything about the North Cascades. And starting next summer, I'm expected to go up there and know what these guys are doing. Understand the proposal. I mean, we sent the proposal. I barely recognized any of the words or the places. Now, I'm exaggerating. I know some of it, but so much I don't know. So, I think you're still with us. Why are we doing all these exotic terrain sessions this fall? 1, I think it's interesting and I think it will work for you. 2, I'm doing it for me. I'm finally sitting down and getting as deep as I can into exotic terrains so that I have the background and the knowledge necessary to not totally embarrass myself in the next few summers when I'm up camping with these guys and making videos and interviewing them and spreading the word about all this interesting research that they're doing. Okay? That's the motivation. Now, to be totally upfront, and this is just another little primer before we get into this, they're mostly going to be working with magmas, the Mike Eddy research team. I guess you'll hear a lot about it this fall now that I think about it. Boy, he's a superstar. He's only 30, but he's already cranked out these amazing scientific papers in the last 3, 4, 5 years on Central Washington geology that most of us have just been amazed by the level of detail, the big picture thinking, etc. My point is the Mike Eddy team in the next few years are going to be in the North Cascades, but most of their work will be with magmas that are younger than 50. Younger than 50. What's our window? What's our time window? Between 200 million years ago and 50 million years ago. So I, with you this fall, want to stay between 200 and 50 and learn as much as I can with you. I'm truly going to be learning with you about the exotic terrain basement of North America here in the West. I'm not sure of this, I almost hesitate saying it, but if that works, if these 26 live streams, these exotic terrain live streams from A to Z, more on that in a second, if this works this fall, I think I'll be back at some point, I don't know, spring, I hate to even say when, but then I need to do a whole nother series with the time frame that Mike and team is going to work on, which is like 50 to 20, but that's down the road. So I hope you can see why we're doing this. And the big change for us is microphone, first of all. Much of it will be hopefully similar to what we did in the spring, if you liked what we did in the spring. Right. Are you picking up the microphone, picking up Muffler Boy now? The significant change this fall, and I hope you like it, is that each of these sessions will work together. We're doing 26 sessions, but each session is a build off of what we did in the previous session. Again, we weren't doing that in spring. We were just going here, there, and everywhere. There was no connection, really. We started from scratch almost every night. This is different. And so what I've been thinking about, and I actually tried to get some feedback from many of you, and many of you gave all sorts of great names about how to, I can't even think of them all. I don't even want to mention any because I'll hurt your feelings if I don't say your idea, but I was looking for some clever, cutesy little way to talk about all these terrains. I decided I don't want to be super cutesy, but I do want some way to make it clear to a viewer that this session we have in early October is, we've been at it a while. In other words, they can't just come in and watch one program and have it make sense. So have you figured out why I picked 26 sessions? Patrick? I'll wait. There's a delay in the comments, but I'll wait. Why did I pick 26? It's not a hard question, but that's right. Logan, LK Logan. Last I checked, there's 26 letters in the alphabet. So this is session A, session B, and you can do the math. If we do 2 live sessions a week, I guess we'll stick with Wednesday, although if we have more buffering problems, I'll wonder about that. Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, we're not taking a break. So that gets us 26 of those. We're into early December. And by the time we're in early December with session Y and session Z, we're going to be deep into the stuff. And you're like, well, what? It can't be that hard. It's hard. I feel like I got to give you another little teaser. Yeah, we'll look at a bunch of exotic terrains. We'll look at Baja BC, of course. We'll look at tomography. What happens to an ocean plate when it subducts? Does it just melt, or is it still down there? I don't know, November, late November probably, we'll get into completely new ways to view the American West, with a ribbon continent out in the Pacific and North America colliding with a slender continent that's already out there. That's a totally new way to view this. And for me, many of these things have kind of been out there. Boy, I should really do something with that. I should really do something with that. And for me, I can sleep a little better knowing that I'm putting it all together for us. In the spring, I'll be learning right along with you. And you're like, good Lord, man, is this guy ever going to start? Like it's 20 minutes after. Well, this is part of the program tonight, is to explain these next 25 sessions after tonight. And to help you, to help folks that watch this in replay. Or maybe they do see session L, just kind of stumbled into session L. And they're like, what the hell is this? I don't know what this guy's talking about. And they go, oh, you got to go back to A. Okay, yeah, the one where he's in the blue shirt and he's sweating a little bit. Right, yeah. By the way, it's going to be dark at this hour in late October, I think. I don't know. I got to buy some floodlights or something. I don't know. Okay. What will the next 4 live streams look like? I have not plotted out the whole 26, but what will the first 4 look like? I think I'm going to go in clusters of 4. I think I want to get my act together for 4 at a time. He goes to the clipboard. So this is us tonight, and the title is super generic because I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I have an idea, but many of these titles will be underwhelming because I'll be doing much of the heavy thinking about it like the night before or the morning of. Next time we're together is Sunday morning, so we're just doing 2. I don't mean to disappoint you if you assumed we're back to 5 new live streams a week. I'm sorry, I just can't do that with everything else going on this quarter. But I don't think we'll have, I don't want to jinx it, I don't think we'll have as many buffering problems on Sunday morning, plus the folks in other time zones can join us instead of it being the middle of the night. And we will go with a lot of maps on Sunday morning at specific glimpses of this exotic terrain basement. So no maps, maybe 1 map tonight, but otherwise no maps. Then a week from tonight, I want to talk about the difference between the craton of a continent and these exotic terrains. And each of these have new things. Like I know geologic time scale. You've already done it like 3 times. I know it. No, each of these will have at least a bit of a twist. Most, I would say, will have lots of a twist. Some of the sessions will be 100% twist, like never done before. And then this one makes no sense, kind of even to me, but I have a vague idea of what I want to do. My main message is our first sessions, A, B, C, and D. I guess I should have put those letters on there. Sessions A, B, C, and D, the first 4 of these live streams that all deal with exotic terrains, we're basically setting the table. So you got to be patient. We're into late September, after September 20th, before we start really visiting our first terrain and you know, banging some rocks open figuratively. I think it's important for us to do 4 sessions before we get into the guts of this. So we're setting the table for these 4 sessions. Your patience. Seems like you're still here. Let's do something real. I assume you can make out most of these words. If you can't, I'm sorry. And I maybe have forgotten a couple of major topics that we've talked about. But my attempt was to give you a pretty complete look at the sessions we've done so far. And the main thing I want to do with the chalkboard, I'm going to screw this up. I mean, it looks nice now. I took a couple pictures so I wouldn't forget about it. But I want to screw this up. Because we're only going to be left with, I don't know, a handful of these that are going to count. So if it's not clear to you yet, it's hopefully clear to you right now. I want to acknowledge all these things, all these stories we've been doing to this point, but I want to expunge them for the record. Is that the right word? Expunge? I want to remove most of this stuff on the chalkboard from our collective conscious. We might go back to it at some point, but not this fall. And you might go, I don't see why you're making such a big deal about it. Here's why. A classic mistake is being very enthusiastic about all these things. And they're all in a blender. I'm down crouching now so I can still be in the frame because I love looking at myself. Many of you have gotten very enthused about geology, and that is terrific. Please don't misunderstand. That's super terrific. But I'm seeing more and more folks who are absorbing all these stories, kind of doing their own math. They're doing their own stitching. They're making a huge quilt or sweater or something out of all these things. You don't mean to do it, you almost kind of want to do it. Like you're taking all these things that you know and you're like putting them together. You're making a model airplane or something. I don't know what the analogy is. And we can't do that here. We're going to have so much complexity that we can't handle thinking about this other stuff at the same time. So you reading me? Let's do it. I'm going to keep coming back up because I don't want to crouch like that the whole time. So I don't have a whole lot of clever stuff for you tonight. This is semi-clever. We did some light carpentry with the shed here. Took a piece of the sliding drawers that they were always stuck, so I just took a circular saw and cut them in half and got them the hell out of there. Sorry, Patrick. And I was rooting around looking for some kind of stray scrap piece of lumber that I could use for a geologic timescale. And this one just happens to be, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a little bit of bevels, or I don't know what you would even call these. And I'm like, whoa, this one is nice and small. I can kind of use it, and hey, it actually like works pretty well for the geologic time scale. So I took a couple Sharpies, colored the boundaries, and I think you know what I'm doing here. I'm showing you the geologic time scale in a nice little handy thing, and we'll use this throughout the quarter, I'm guessing. Beginning of the Earth. This is the geologic time scale, in other words. What is this? What should we call this? Tammy time scale? Timmy time? I don't know. Do we need a cutesy name for everything? Probably not. You are on Larry Ladder. Beginning of the Earth, 4,600 million years ago. This is the Precambrian. This is most of our Earth history. This is basically going from, if we take this entire Earth, I've done this before, if we take this entire Earth history and make it equal to 1 calendar year, and this is January 1st of our calendar year, the end of the Precambrian works out to be Halloween. So this is 10 of the 12 months of our history on the planet, and we're not even out of the Precambrian yet. 541 million years ago is now the date we have for the end of the Precambrian, the beginning of the Paleozoic. Okay, Precambrian hardly matters to us at all. We essentially have 0 Precambrian rocks to look at here in the Pacific Northwest. And because you know I'm working with the Eddy group, I am focused primarily on the North Cascades of Washington. Almost all of our attention will be on the North Cascades of Washington, from Mount Stewart north to the Canadian border. But to fully understand, or to try at least to understand what's going on in the North Cascades, we have to deal with British Columbia, we have to deal with Alaska, we have to deal with selected spots in Oregon, California, and yes, Mexico, even going down to Nicaragua. Okay? That's coming next session, looking at a map. But as far as the North Cascades are concerned, essentially no Precambrian rock. Actually, there's the yellow aster. No, that's Paleozoic, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay? Paleozoic, between 541 million years ago and 252 million years ago, also not a huge player for us. Now, if we're back east, if we're in the Midwest, if we're in Wisconsin or Kansas or Texas, there's all sorts of Paleozoic bedrock geology to look at. That's not us this fall. We're here with exotic terranes, which we'll learn next time, and the next time after that is not a central part of North America's story. Instead, the Mesozoic is going to be our friend this fall. The Mesozoic era. I mean, the dinosaurs begin on December 15th. If you want to keep with this analogy, remember this whole thing is one calendar year. So January 1st, October 31st, December 15th, 10 shopping days left before Christmas, is the beginning of the Mesozoic, the beginning of the dinosaurs in the fossil record. Day after Christmas, December 26th, is the famous end of Cretaceous extinction of most things on Earth, including dinosaurs, except for birds, except for... So I don't normally think about the Mesozoic. I don't normally think about the Cretaceous. If you happen to see the most recent program posted on this channel, it was an interview with Ralph Hagerud. I don't know, it's like a drinking game. How many times did Ralph say the word Cretaceous? He kind of spoke quickly, but there's a lot of Cretaceous in there. Cretaceous batholith, Cretaceous ocean floor, Cretaceous accretion. Cretaceous will be a big part of our story. And then once we get younger than the end of Mesozoic, we're into the Cenozoic, the tertiary. And then you'll see way up here at the top, the most recent 2.6 million years is the Quaternary, the Ice Age. So the main thing I have left in mind here, this is not a super long session. I just wanted to get us started here this evening. Sun's starting to go behind the big tree, the big maple on the other side of the neighbor's house, is to take a bunch of our stuff on the chalkboard. I think I just verbally want to place them into certain areas and then remember that there's really, what were the numbers again? Patrick? What's this number? How many millions of years ago is really as early as we want to go? 200. And what's up here? 50. Our is 200 to 50 million years. So on the geologic time scale, 200 is pretty much the beginning of the Jurassic period. Jurassic Park. Yeah, dinosaurs are living on all continents during this time. So we're going back to the age of the dinosaurs. And in our, I don't know, can I make my hint? I'm not flipping you off. Can I? Yeah, I can kind of do it maybe. There we go. 200 to 50 million years. That's our time window. Now, why am I picking these two? I'm going to wait on this one. This is audience participation time. Yeah. Why am I picking starting point? And it's okay to participate and be wrong. You're in a warm, nurturing environment here. We're all about positivity, inclusivity here. All sorts of stuff going on around the world and has been since March. That's not what we do here. We're into just being together and focusing on this kind of stuff. I'm stalling for you. Why 200? Why is that the beginning? Is there a global reason for picking 200 million years ago, or at least an American West story for 200? Oh, we got buffering? No. I saw one that was, I think was correct. I'm going to see if, yep. Elaine, yes. Morilongo, yes. Yes. My fingers don't reach farther. Good one, John. That is correct. Good, I'm seeing more of them now. Thank you. We are picking 200 as the beginning of our important time window because that's the beginning of the breakup of Pangea, a supercontinent called Pangea. Pangea starts to break up 200 million years ago. Yeah, during the dinosaur time. kind of sad, right? We got dinosaurs on one continent, dinosaurs on another continent. At some point, these rafts start splitting apart, and I guess there's some sad dinosaurs. That was dumb. I regret that. Okay, well, that seems kind of arbitrary. Why would I pick the breakup of Pangea to be the beginning of our story? Well, North America, for the first time in a long time, 200 million years ago, starts to drift west. Now it's North America, drifting west. That's a lot of effort for that. Okay? And as soon as North America starts drifting west 200 million years ago, because of the breakup of Pangea, these things called exotic terranes start on our west coast. Much more to come on that, but that's why we're picking 200. Now, do you know the next question I'm going to ask you? Not flipping you off. Why 50? That also seems arbitrary and also kind of confusing. That's not a nice boundary here. 50 million years ago. Why is that the youngest we want to get? This entire fall. I'm not kidding now. We're staying between 200 and 50 the entire fall, all 26 live sessions. Why 50? I'm seeing a word. I'll wait for a few more here. Very good. Very good. And if you're brand new to us and you haven't seen the replays of the first 75 live sessions and you're feeling totally out of it, please stick with us. Please stick with us. You're in on the ground floor. We're going to build from this point forward. And these guys just know some of these answers because they've been with us in previous live streams. That's all. I mean, they're smart, but in addition to being smart, they remember a few things that we did in the fall, in the spring. Okay. The answer is 50 million years ago is the accretion of the last terrane to get added to the Pacific Northwest. And I mean Washington. 50, the last terrane gets accreted. The word accreted, we'll get into it, but it simply means added onto. So the last, if this is North America moving west, it starts moving west 200 million years ago, and we're adding all these terranes in a cartoonish way. It's not going to be cartoonish for very much longer. The last hand slap, the last thing to come in, is a piece of land that was made out in the ocean that we call Siletzia. It's like, where's Waldo? There. Okay? The addition of Siletzia. Siletzia is the youngest terrane that we have. And we've essentially completed building the crust. And we really haven't added anything since 50 million years ago. Got it? 200 to 50. Now, let me pause before we start marking up the board. I need to give you a little pep talk here. A pep talk for people who are already feeling like this is too much. I'm going to do my best to make this comprehensible. Is that a word? Probably not. I'm going to do my best to make this work for you. I have a lot of experience teaching, and I know enough basic things about how to communicate that I think I can make this work for you. It's going to be complicated. And it's going to be rough in places because I barely know it myself. But the freshness of learning as we go, I think, will be a nice plus to what we're doing. And I fully expect to be emailing geologists throughout the fall, maybe have them watch on occasion. I might, taking Kathy's suggestion in Australia, I might get fancy enough. I don't know if I want to do it, but to actually do some kind of split screen where it's me and I'm talking to somebody in their office somewhere else in the world, an expert in other words, and do a little interview in real time, live. That's possible. I'm a little afraid of the technology of it, and I don't know if that will get away from what we have here. That's a possibility. I'm just sharing a few ideas that are kind of circling here. Another idea, somebody on Twitter suggested this more than once, and I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. Is it Christopher? He said, if once you get to start talking about terrains, because I think he'd seen some of the terrain videos that I've been doing this summer. I've been going on purpose to certain exotic terrains that I knew nothing about, busting open some rocks, shooting some videos, like saying, here's what we know about this exotic terrain. He said, don't you have people in British Columbia and Alaska and California and Oregon and even Mexico make little short videos from their backyard, from their terrain, and like send you the file or something, and then you can have like these field reports. I really like that idea. I don't know if that's going to work. And but I've shared that with you because you might like that enough that we go in that direction. We'll have some cozy fort time with some correspondence essentially, because of course I haven't been to hardly any of these terrains, even in central Washington. We don't have to visit every terrain to make sense of them, but that might be a nice little twist as well. The other pep talk is for the very advanced people that are with us, including Muffler Boy. You've already done a bunch of reading. You're way ahead of me. And you're like ready to go. You're having dinner and you're watching this and you're like, you haven't done anything tonight. Like I took time out of my busy schedule to learn about exotic terrains. You're tap dancing up there in your blue shirt. You haven't done a damn thing. Sorry, Patrick. We will be doing some things. But I think the heavy stuff, the dense stuff that we'll be doing, I got to be careful about how we do it and when we do it. Because even the most seasoned pros who are super excited about the North Cascades, the most bright, seasoned, experienced geologists, they break, they crack. At some point they just go, I can't, I'm out. I'm out. I wanna go look at the cinder cones. It's like, there's a cinder cone. It all popped out in a few weeks. That's easy. In other words, it's common for people to get super pumped about this topic, and then at some point they crack and they run away and they never come back. It's just too hard. And so I'm especially, I'm excited right now. Will I crack? Will I start talking about the dudes in the 1900s or 1800s again at some point in November and say, screw it, I can't do it. I'm confused. I hope not. I can't after getting you kind of on board here. But my pep talk is to you advanced people saying, we will get there. Would you please have patience with me? Would you please have patience with us? And we'll try to get this terrain on the track. Okay, it's 6:45. This is what I want to do for the next 10 minutes, and then I think we're done. And we'll turn it over to you with some live Q&A. You're going to see the board now. I'm going to be doing this a fair amount, but I'm going to I think, do this kind of quickly. What's our goal? To cross out almost everything on the chalkboard, and you know why now. So let's start with the Ice Age. The Ice Age is a sexy topic, a tantalizing topic that has grabbed many of us over the years. Ice Age floods, J. Harlan Brett's ice sheet, Seattle till, all sorts of things tied to activity happening within the last 2.6 million years. Also, incredible that are still an issue. The Osceola mud flow. Incredible earthquakes with tsunami attached. Slow earthquakes that are mysterious. That's all up here in the Quaternary. It's not going to help us. It's not on our window. So everything that's Quaternary, please stand up. Please stand up. Quaternary. Yeah, even the Titan andesite. Do you remember that andesite that came out of the Goat Rocks volcano and flowed to the Fred Meyer in Yakima? Quaternary. Ice Age floods, Frenchman Cooley, Quaternary. Giant current ripples, live stream from there. Creepy guy, Quaternary. Bridge of the Gods landslide, Quaternary. Can you see the entire chalkboard, Muffler Boy? Maybe that's the advantage of this mic. You can pick up Muffler Boy and be just as bothered by Muffler Boy as I am. But I'm a pro. Quaternary, craters of the moon. I'm sorry, only 2,000 years old. Quaternary. Quaternary, Quaternary, Quaternary. I'll stop saying that. That's obnoxious. Of course, Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980, but the entire Mount St. Helens is less than 100,000 years old. Is that true? It's less than 500,000 years old. It's Quaternary. Canadian ice sheet, Quaternary. Grand Coulee, Ice Age floods. All these things I'm crossing off are just Quaternary, the last 2.6 million years of time, the most recent 2.6. Seattle Fault, Yakima Valley Glacier, Dry Falls, Palouse-Luce, all that wind blowing loose was related to the ice sheet, Quaternary. Mima Mounds, Quaternary, actually younger than the last advance. Glacier Lake Missoula, Quaternary. Most of the uplift and downcutting in the Columbia River Gorge, Quaternary. That might be a surprise to some, but dramatic uplift in the Cascades to encourage downcutting of the Columbia River is an Ice Age vintage. Same for Hell's Canyon, what I just said. Great earthquakes, Quaternary. Okay, that's a lot that we've already removed. I'm going to end up just circling a few things that we will be using for this session, for this fall. Okay, you still got your favorite hanging in there? Maybe you've already mentally crossed out everything else. I want to pick up the pace just a little bit. Let me do the, in my way of thinking, let me group the next most recent things, if that makes sense. Let's kind of look at stuff that's also younger than 50, but it's too old for the Quaternary. The Saddle Mountains are made of Columbia River basalt, 15 million years old, 15, too young. And the Saddle Mountains Fault is way younger than that. The Yellowstone hotspot, of course, is at Yellowstone Park, most recently making a supervolcano explosion when? Yeah, 640,000 years ago. But even if we take the well-known Yellowstone hotspot track as North America is crossing the stationary Yellowstone hotspot, that really only goes back 17 million years. That really only goes back here. Now, I'm smirking just a little bit because you know I'm a fan of a certain story, but let's just get rid of the Yellowstone hotspot. Ghost volcanoes in the Cascades began 40 million years ago. The Cascades as we know them today, and individual cones only existing for 2 million years at a time. So the Cascades are here. If we get to the beginning of the Cascades, the volcanoes, the volcanic arc, the Cascades, 40, that's too young for our 200 to 50 window. So anything with the Cascades we got to get rid of. Anything with the Cascades. Oh, I guess I don't have much more with the Cascades. Okay. The Columbia River was pushed around by what? The Columbia River basalt, 15 million. Get rid of it. Petrified logs found within certain Columbia River basalt lava flows, like the Ginkgo flow. Get rid of it. Yakima River Canyon, uplift against the Yakima River, which got established roughly, I still don't know exactly, but the Yakima River got established. If you want to take it back as far as the beginning of the Cascades, that's fine, but we're still only going back 40. Doink. Columns within the Elephant Mountain flow and the Rosa flow. Bruno Jar Bridge is one of the Yellowstone calderas. Okay, we're getting so messy now that I think I want to, I'll tell you what, I'll circle the ones we want to keep. We've already crossed out almost everything, haven't we? We're still going to cross out a few more. What else are we going to cross out? What else is younger than 50? In other words, what's still up here in the tertiary that we've talked about? It's getting pretty old, but it's still younger than 50 and still not in our window for this fall. That's right. There's still plenty we don't know about the Ellensburg blue agates, but we know that they are connected to the Teanaway Formation somehow. And the Teanaway Formation is younger than 50 million years old. The Liberty Gold, same story. Tie it to the Teanaway Formation, younger than 50, too young for our window. And Saddle Rock, do you remember that super spontaneous live stream with wind whipping all over the place? And I had the friend Jason flying a drone up there. Same vintage, Saddle Rock. Those rocks are 44 million years old, too young for our 200 to 50 million year window. Ringgold Formation, I should have crossed that out long ago. That's lakes that existed before Hell's Canyon was cut, basically younger than 10. Okay, I think I want to erase a bunch of stuff. Are you willing to just wait for me for a sec? Assuming you can read this, and assuming oh, this is not going to work. I'm going to drip all over. Oh, that's all right. I feel like I want to. Do you want to cross out anything else? Or do you think everything that I have remaining, it's blurry as crap? Really? Maybe this is just my little neat-nick deficiency coming through. Too much clutter for me. Well, even if you can't read these, I guess I can narrate so that you can follow. We're down to less than a dozen. Now, I do want to get rid of a couple more of these. It's still crap. It's still blurry. What if I do that? Does that focus? All right, it's clear for many, so I'm just going to assume it works for most of you. Okay, I'm going to write out some words now, or some dates, I think. Give me a sec. Oh, I don't even remember. This is embarrassing. I remember the age of Rodinia. Is it one? Oh man, I should have looked this up. This will give you a rough idea. Embarrassing, wow. 59, no, 56 to 50. I'm doing this mainly for myself so that I can remember how to narrate this for you. We're getting rid of the Olympic Peninsula because the Olympic Peninsula is mainly made out of sedimentary material that has been added since Siletzia was added 50 million years ago. So the Olympics go away. Okay, thank you for your patience. Here's how we're finishing this first session, session A. The things that remain on the chalkboard will be used. Let me look at you eye to eye here for a second. These concepts will be used regularly throughout the fall. Just a few. We've literally erased most of the other stuff because it's too young. So, why will all these things be used? Even some of them too young. I'll do it quickly, just as a little sampler for the next few sessions. The belt series is over by John Stockton's house. And those are beach rocks that are in the neighborhood of 1 billion years old. And even though that's way too old, 1 billion is way down here, right? Precambrian. Even though that's way too old for our window, we need to know where that old coastline is because that old belt series is representing a coastline that was still around 200 million years ago. Rodinia was the supercontinent before Rodinia was a supercontinent that was even older than the belt. And we talked about Rodinia as a supercontinent that started to split apart. And there's belt rocks that are over in Australia as a match. So that will come into our discussion. Pangea, we've already talked about, is a key part of our story because as soon as we break apart Pangea 200 million years ago, we start accreting terranes, exotic terranes, to the western edge of North America. And Pangea was together between 300 and 200 million years old. Baja BC is a concept that's a favorite of mine. There are some flaws. We'll talk about pros and cons with Baja BC. That's a concept where major amount of exotic terrain material was shifted north along the west coast of North America between 85 and 55 million years ago. We'll keep it. Siletzia, the youngest of the exotic terranes, was built very quickly in the ocean off the coast of Northern California, added to Washington 50 million years ago. The San Juan Islands is just one of many locations in Washington that are dominated by exotic terranes from the Jurassic and the Cretaceous. So I'm not going to give you dates because it's too complicated to just give you one date, but that's a taste of where we're going next time. Of course, the North Cascades is another taste of where we're going next time. Do you see what this is, partially erased? Clockwise rotation, a favorite concept of many of you. When did the clockwise rotation truly begin? Dramatic pause. I don't know. And there's different ways to talk about that clockwise rotation, but you really need to address Baja BC at the same time that you're dealing with that clockwise rotation. Merle Beck's interview gave us a sense of that. What's left? SCF and SAF. Can you see them? What do those stand for? And why are they on the board? The SCF was active between 50 and 35 million years ago. The San Andreas Fault was active between 20 million years ago and today. That's way too young. Why is it on our board? Why will we be talking about the Straight Creek Fault in Washington and British Columbia, known as the Fraser Fault, and the San Andreas Fault in California? We will be talking about those two guys because they are super instructive and important when understanding where the terranes are today. Just to give you a taste of the complication, one huge challenge is to figure out where these terranes, these pieces of land, came from. Another huge problem is realizing that almost all of these terranes have been sliced up since they got added. So you bring them in, that's one problem. Then you slice them up after they come in, that's another problem. So you've got pieces of terranes that you are going to look for because they've been offset by strike-slip faults like the San Andreas and the Straight Creek, which is a good way to look at the next 4 sessions. The next 3 sessions, and then we go to your questions. That was my attempt, rough as it was, to get you to think about our magic time window between 250 million years ago. That's our window for the entire fall. Next time, I purposely stayed away from maps. Yeah, I was going to even show you one. I'm not going to show it to you. But we're going to be map heavy this whole fall. If you're a fan of maps, you're going to get a lot of maps, a lot of colors, a lot of different ways to show things, both in the cozy fort and also with big pieces of paper that I'm kind of wrestling with in the wind here. But that's what we're dealing with next time. Where can we go find some of these exotic terranes without them being covered up by younger things? Then we'll talk about how exotic terranes are different than a craton of North America. And I just gave you a little taste of what slicing and dicing means. The Straight Creek Fault, the San Andreas Fault, have done some of this chop, 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 chop of these terranes since they arrived. It's time for me to drink a little bit of ice water, have you hit the caps lock, start asking some questions that you'd like to ask in real time here, kind of related, I guess, about some of the chalkboard, or even, I guess, if you want to ask about our entire fall session. I'll try to give you a heads up. Hope you enjoyed this first time back. No sign of bijou. Sun's down. We can actually see the sun here. We're in good shape today compared to past days, and I know the sun is not visible in many places, and our hearts are with everybody. If you're new to us, we ask questions with the uppercase, caps lock. Will I be out on field trips, asks Rachel. That's not my plan, Rachel. My Rachel is to plan. No, my plan is to be here each Wednesday night and each Sunday morning. I guess if I really feel the need to, live streaming with 3 bars and all that, I don't think so. I think I'll be in the backyard. Steve, are there core samples of exotic terrain that isn't seen on the surface? Yeah, there are some places where we have drill cuttings of exotic terrains not at the surface. We'll get into that a little bit. Sin, if you have maps or complicated papers, can you provide a link or download for us to review after the video? I appreciate the enthusiasm, Cynthia. I get a lot of those kinds of questions. It's enough effort to do these, and I don't have the time or interest even really to do all that extra work. I hope you can understand. If something's crucial, I'll probably post a link, but otherwise, if I get mired down in a lot of that stuff, I might just lose my momentum here, and that's kind of been my philosophy the whole way. Speaking of which, I've just decided this summer I cannot keep up with email, and I hope you can put yourself in my position. There's a lot. Are we buffering? Frederick's buffering. There's so much coming in, and at some point I realized I'm spending 8 hours a day just answering emails. I can't keep this up. And so I'm getting all your emails, but I just cannot reply. I cannot reply to all the emails. So that's just kind of, that's the current state of affairs. I'm sorry. I used to reply to every email. I just can't do it anymore. There's too much. Any books that I recommend for the North Cascades? Plenty of those recommendations coming, James. Brad, do you know of any other places in the world with many exotic terrains? I do. China is entirely exotic terrains. The east of the Appalachians, exotic terrains. But we'll be focusing in Western North America mostly. Jamie and Heather, any reading assignments? Not really. For me, but not for you. You know, we might, I guess, get into something that has so much meat on the bone that we'll do 4 live streams just on one publication. And then in that case, maybe I will give some assigned reading. More ask for links of PDFs and maps. I think I need to stick with what I'm saying. I hope you can understand. What and where are cratons in North America? That's coming in session C, Larry. Did I dodge this Siletzia Yellowstone connection? Yes, I did, Kent. We'll revisit that, but even that's a bit of a, you know what I mean? That's a bit of a departure for us from this window. I mean, you know, to be totally honest, I could just kind of keep steering this back towards stuff that I know very well, and it would fill up hours easily, but that's not what we're doing here. So my goal is to have less muffler boys as the weather gets cooler, and my goal is also to have this mostly be, you know, new stuff. Yep, cooler plate's coming. Yes, I'll be recommending animations. I love that you're all wanting downloadable study guides. You can Google things as well as I'm truly, in many cases, just finding scientific papers by Googling Alexander Terrane, Alaska. Give that one a try. It came from Scandinavia. Now you're all asking about stuff, and I'm going to have to move on. With the same theme, wanting links and things. Mike Eddy is, I don't think, going to be working with Western Washington Geology Department, but I don't know the details of his plans. You all want reading lists. I think I've said what I want to say there. I'm sorry, I don't mean to let you down. Ned Zinger asks, will you be using your hammer to break open more amazing rocks? We'll see how this goes. I'm guessing that most of my time will be devoted to reading and prepping for each live stream, and I don't think I'll have a car or time to go out and do more of those Nick on the Fly episodes. I really enjoyed making those. I don't anticipate doing a lot of that this fall. Kim, how do we depict sutures of exotic terrains? That's coming. Many of these are like questions that I'm hoping you'd be curious about, and we will be addressing all of that. Is exotic terrain settled science, asks Ray. Everyone agrees there are terrains, but the details of what came from where, anything but settled. John, are the terrains a patchwork, partially welded, or nearly welded, or completely welded to the North American craton? Interesting question. We'll look at those sutures. We'll look at one place in particular called the Western Idaho Shear Zone. That's something you can Google, which is a key place where there was major strike-slip activity between the terranes and the craton. So I wouldn't think of them as completely welded to the North American craton necessarily. Oh, I see why you're all asking like for books and stuff, like you're thinking of this as a class. I get it now. I didn't anticipate that. Well, it is kind of a class with 26 sessions, but the difference is I'm going class to class. I can't assign you reading because I got to find stuff for me to teach. It's not like I've got it all ready to go. I hope I've been on furlough all summer. I've been traveling and making those videos just for fun. I truly am going to be putting these together as we go. Yeah. We'll do a couple more and we'll quit. Calderas in the Northern Cascades. Now that's an example of too young, DW. There are some calderas up there, way too young. We won't address them, they're too young. Will I utilize Vindman's Bakery? In other words, will I use some pastry props? People seem to like the food props, so yeah, I'll try to come up with something. Lily's asking if it's okay if she keeps sending articles from British Columbia. I appreciate all the emails, don't get me wrong, and many of them have very interesting articles, links, video clips. I use much of that, so I definitely appreciate all the help, and as we continue to go, if you have thoughts or follow-ups, I love reading all that. I love hearing from you. But what I'm saying is I no longer have the time. I know it sounds like I'm a big shot now. I'm not. I'm the same person. But I mean, Liz actually just, this summer said, so what have you been doing this week? I'm like, answering emails. She's like, well, yeah, okay, so that was Monday morning. What'd you do like the rest of the week? I'm like, I answered emails the entire week. And she says, well, is that the best use? Are they expecting you to reply to every email? I'm like, I don't know, I guess so. I've always done it. So I'm blaming it on my wife, I guess. I don't know. I do know that if I'm teaching my class and I'm teaching my lab and I'm mentoring the grad students and I'm doing 2 live streams a week and the live streams are stuff that I haven't taught before, I do know that I'm not going to have hours and hours to reply to emails. But I really do enjoy hearing from you. I mean, the Facebook thing is a whole other story. I just gave up with friend requests and all that. It's too much. I really hope you can understand. Andrew asks, what is the overall goal of Mike Eddy's work? And I assume you mean his upcoming proposal, which I couldn't find, and I finally had to email Mike again. I said, hey, thanks, I'm glad we're doing this. Could you send the proposal again? And as I understand it, well, I did one of the Nick on the Flies was with Mike Eddy. If you watch those up on Mission Ridge, he was with Aaron Donahue, his grad student, and I was literally filming the 30 minutes that we were visiting. Like first time I'd ever met him, and I was just like, record. And I think he said in that program, but he's basically looking at magmas that are flaring up in the North Cascades, younger than 50, but flaring up through exotic terrain basement. So I hope you can see that to understand his flare-ups and where the magmas are growing and how deep the magmas are coming from and that sort of thing, I think you need to know what was there before the magma started flaring up. And so we're looking at the terrain basement that gets parked here before his magma flare-ups. But as I understand it so far, Andrew, He's working with igneous rocks, batholiths, plutons, stocks, and why those igneous blobs are appearing where and when they are. I'm sure there's more to it that I don't know. A few more and we'll quit. I don't want this to go 2 hours. You know those things in June, those ended up to be, every one was like, felt like 2 hours. Like, that's too much. How many are here? Oh, there's still 825? How can everything other than faulting younger than 50 be dismissed? Doesn't impact what we see now? Yeah, Ken, I take your point. We are going to be slicing and dicing like I did with those last 2 items on the board. But you'll see on Sunday morning, which is our next live session, that most of the activity since 50 is clouding our understanding, is covering things up. I don't want to give away more on Sunday. Raymond, has CW been supportive of your online lessons? Supportive in the sense that they're not really trying to stop me. They're all busy. They're not really watching what I'm doing. That's totally fine. 3 more and we're done. It's a class to me. I'm glad it's a class to you, but there's no reading assigned. John, isn't anything east of the Cascades exotic terranes? You can think of that, John, although Siletzia is west of the Cascades and it is a terrain. Once we get into Oregon, there's some stuff in the Klamath that's I'm giving away next time. But in Washington, yes, much of it is exposed east. But we'll realize that the entire state is exotic terrain. It's just a question of whether you can see it or not. One more. Maury Longo, will I discuss oceanic features such as the Cascadia Trench? Kind of. So much of this is half-baked in my mind, but we will eventually go to this exotic terrain, and then this one, and then this one, kind of like I did with those Nick on the Fly episodes. And I'll try to be factual. Here's the kind of rock, here's the ages that we have, here's the old ages we had, here's the brand new dates that we have using a new technique and a new whatever. But then I think, Maury, also in that will be, here's our best interpretation of where that rock came from. And if it's a green rock, it came from the ocean. And can we say something about where in the ocean? Or deep ocean floor, or in a trench, or a seamount? And in that case, we will go offshore and look at something modern. Okay, I think that's plenty. A toast to you. Sun's already down, man. This is going to be interesting. I got to figure out some lighting. Here's to you and your health. Here's to the health of your parents and your grandparents and the health of your children and your grandchildren, all your family and friends. Of course, here's to all of the amazing work that's been done over the course of this pandemic, and especially here late in the summer, all the fire suppression, all the heroic acts of the men and women who are out there keeping us as safe as possible. There's been some amazing stories just in the last 48 hours and probably happening right now. So here's to them. And here's to you for joining us for Session A of Exotic Terrains A to Z, or to my Canadian friends, A to Z. I thank you for watching tonight. I love you, and we'll see you on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific. Good night from Ellensburg, Washington, USA. He reaches for the X. The same thumb he used for 200 million years ago. And the right thumb is activated. Good night. Good night.